how is it people you've idolized growing up as a kid and then they critique your game? I mean, that can't be easy, you know?
That hurt. At first, that hurt. I remember being that kid in the living room, sitting on my stick horse watching Cody rope. That was my hero, man. That was the guy I looked up to, coming up. If it wasn't for Cody I wouldn't have the desire of doing what I do, because seeing Cody, Fred, Joe, all this stuff, sitting in the living room for every kid competing at the NFR now, we all sat in the living room. We all watched one person on TV, and that was our guy. Cody was my guy. When he said that about me, that hurt. That did hurt for a minute, but I called him Rich. I said, man, you see? He said, man, just blow it off and just, go think about it and see tomorrow. I posted some on Instagram. I said, give in to me or something, but I went to church the next day, Sunday, think about some things. And that's the thing, is when I found God within myself, I found a lot of relief. I found that it doesn't matter what people think about you. If you got God and know what he thinks about you, then a couple days later, I said, man, you're going to have to block that out. The only reason why he's talking about you is because you're great. That's the only reason. If you're not great, he ain't going to say nothing about you, period. And that's what it took me to realize. And I watched it over and over again. I watched the podcast probably more than anybody. I watched all the parts where Cody talked about me.
Thanks for the views, partner.
For sure. I had some views on that one. All the parts where Cody watched or talked about me, I watched repetitively. At first I was down on myself. I was like, man, that sucks. Guy you looked up to, now he's down on you. But turned around, it was like, man, 2 years ago, Cody was texting me, talking to me how he is about Riley now. But some stuff happened, and he could tell the world someday about that. Haven't seen eye to eye since. So now he thinks he can make himself feel better about downing me, but it don't matter, man. Like, we're talking about Cody right now because he's one of the greatest. He wouldn't be talking about me if he knew I wasn't going to be one of the greatest. Simple as that.